internet! It's me, the girl with the funny accent. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to write as a student, or, as I like to call it, I fucked up, so you don't have to. I have 5 things I want to talk about, and in all 5 of them, I fucked up. Let's just get into the self-humiliation, shall we? So the first thing is to write often, but to make realistic goals for yourself. A lot of people say, write every day. That's cool. Do that. Except for, I'm not going to because I have shit to do. As a student, we have a lot of shit to do. There's clubs and friends and jobs and relationships, if that's your thing. And if I tried to sit myself down and write every single day, I would maybe get 5 words on a page because sometimes I just don't have time. So one really good piece of advice I got one time was to think about writing every day. Great. Would Solara have a crush on Flynn Rider or Prince Charming? Definitely Flynn Rider. See? Now I've thought about writing. Look at me, being all productive. But sometimes I think to myself, why don't I just plan for a while? And then I end up with a year's worth of world building because I've made mock Wikipedia articles for my Magic Land, or spending weeks just taking MBTI tests for all of my characters. All of them, even the minor ones. So the advice here is don't get too hung up on writing every day because you're going to end up getting distracted. And maybe that's just me. Maybe this is terrible advice. But you also need to set realistic goals for yourself. One time, I wrote a manuscript. What? And I decided to myself when I was writing, I was going to do a chapter a day. And I did. And I wrote the whole thing in a month. And one of my characters married his cousin. So I didn't pay enough attention before I got into it, or as I was going, because I was just like, okay, this wedding happens in this chapter, right? So I need to get to the wedding, and now I need to write the wedding. And it was just a big circle. And now I've had to do all of the rewrites. So many rewrites. I'm already an overwriter, but all of these rewrites have meant that I am now 50,000 words above where I wanted to be. 50,000! Take your goals day by day. If you don't, you'll just get super stressed out. And then you'll think to yourself, oh, I've got so much homework to do, but I also wanted to get this chapter written today. Now you've just lumped writing in with homework and then just... Number 2, have your own space. I like writing at a desk. What? Shock and awe. But for years, I wrote on my bed because it was comfy. But my bed is also where I watch Netflix. So I would sit there and go, you know what? Instead of writing about this empire of political intrigue and secret societies, let's watch Aladdin for the 50th time this week. That's actually something I actually did. There was a period of time, my freshman year of college, where I watched Aladdin every night. Every night. So I made a space. I decorated it. I made it my own, and I made it pretty. So my workspace is just my pencil holder, my laptop, my notebook, my candle, and a cup of tea. Doesn't need to be a full cup of tea because sometimes you just want to look at how cute the mug is. It's Baymax. I also didn't have very good ideas when I was writing in bed, so writing on a desk gets me into the homework mindset. What? What? Homework? I thought you just said writing wasn't supposed to be homework. Yeah, you're right. It's not supposed to be homework. You might just hate doing that. But it works for me. I'm not productive very often, so it's nice to feel productive. Sometimes I like to work away from home, so my favorite place to write was, if you live in the States, Barnes & Noble cafes. Seriously, everyone around you is working and everything's really quiet because it's a bookshop and no one really likes to talk in bookshops. In the UK, I have not found this in Waterstones cafes, and one time I made the lovely mistake of deciding to go to a Starbucks in Covent Garden to get work done. If you know anything about London, that's super crowded and I couldn't even hear myself think. Just choose a space where you know you can work and get into the proper mindset, and then make it pretty, because then it'll be a happy place to work. Number 3, find your own groove. Work the way you want to. Don't work within the constraints that other people give you. Stick it to the man. I have a weird work day. If I want to work all day, I usually start around 4 and finish around 10. But then on top of that, I take a lot of tea breaks. I mean, look at how big this mug is. It's so big, my voice echoes if I talk into it. That's a big mug. So I drink a lot of tea, and so I'll make tea, and in the time until my tea is ready, I'll write. And then when the tea is ready, I'll drink it. I know, weird, right? Who would want to drink tea? But I also have this weird thing that I do where if I'm drinking tea, I have to be completely relaxing. I mean, put everything down except for like Netflix or YouTube or whatever I'm watching that day. But weirdly enough, that works for me. I even use that system when I write school essays because it's like a reward system, especially when you're writing essays. This is actually legitimate advice. Set up a reward system when you're writing school essays. I would say, right, I'm gonna get a chapter done and then you can go downstairs and drink a cup of tea. It's the best. And I do it when I study for exams as well, because not everybody is completely unproductive in the morning, which is really difficult because school really likes you to work in the mornings. I don't know, it's weird. I spent years with anxiety about the fact that I wasn't working in the mornings. I would say, oh, I have so much work to get done today. What am I gonna do? But it'd be 2 o'clock and I'd be sitting there and I'm still on Netflix and I'd be like, I was supposed to be working 2 hours ago. I was supposed to be working 4 hours ago. And I'm not. But after I finally accepted that I just work better in the evenings, I got more productive and less anxious. So find your groove, find what works for you. Trying to force yourself into work environments that you aren't happy in, it's gonna suck. It just is. Number 4, have a support network. How did I fuck up on this one? I just didn't do it. I'm an incredibly introverted person. Like, a really introverted person. And when I was a kid, I liked to think that I was Hermione Granger. No, literally, I used to tell people that Hermione Granger was based off of me. Don't know why I did that. I think I just thought it was fun. I thought weird things were fun as a child. But I never quite got out of Philosopher's Stone Hermione when she was a bit more argumentative, annoying, and know-it-all-y. And I was like that nearly my entire life. And I especially didn't want to talk about writing because I thought I was going to be judged. So from age 11 to 19, I never told anybody that I was writing anything. Because when you want to get into a career where you're paid for people to read your work, why would you let people read your work? That just doesn't make any sense. But then I found a friend. One of my friends offhandedly told me that she wrote short stories, and I was like, fuck it. And I told her about my writing and about my book, and she got so excited for me, and now she's my biggest fan. Don't skip this, because it feels way better to bounce ideas off of someone rather than sit there and go, wow, I'm done. Good places to do that are writing blogs, Tumblr, and just your own friends. You'd be really surprised that if people are friends with you, they're supportive. I know, weird. Number 5, don't make writing a chore. So I know I made a joke about the fact that I've written a manuscript, but fun fact, I've actually written 2. Why don't I talk about manuscript number 1? Because it sucks. And everyone's written like really shitty stuff. Have you ever gone back to see what you wrote when you were young? It's hard to do. But what I really wanted to do when it came to that first manuscript was just finish it. So I forced myself to write words that I didn't even like. While I was writing that, writing was really just a chore because I was like, I really want to get to the fun stuff, but I have to write this other stuff first. It became not that fun. I like writing to be fun. Maybe it's just me. And this is gonna get kind of sappy for a minute, so I'm really sorry about that. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever given myself is write like it's your full-time job. And I'm a student that gets really, really anxious, especially when it gets down to deadlines and scores and grades and stuff. Trying to be a student, trying to have a job, trying to write was really stressing me out. But when I told myself, write like it's your full-time job, suddenly everything I was doing was just getting me closer and closer to my dream career. And don't worry, I fucked this one up too. Very recently, we had reading week followed by weeks of bad weather. And so I actually wrote like it was my full-time job. I took that entire 4 to 10 time frame and I spent the entire time doing work. And it was great. I was having so much fun. Oh my god. But then school started up again and I didn't want to go. So there I go. Still Philosopher's Stone Hermione Granger. Can't sort out her priorities. Oh my god. Can't spin. It keeps getting caught on things. So whatever write like it's your full-time job means to you, if you're thinking to yourself, if I write this essay and I make it really, really good, then that means that my story will be really, really good. Whatever it means to you, I legitimately think that that's some of the best advice I've ever given to myself, especially if you're an anxious person, because it changed my entire life. One sentence, write like it's your full-time job. Changed everything. So that's my 5 things to do if you're a student who wants to write. This advice works really well for college or university students, but if you're in high school, fuck off. I'm totally kidding. Come back. I love you. Thank you for watching my video. I hope that you can take at least some of this advice and that you keep enjoying yourself whenever you write, because that's what we all want to do. Have fun. Also watch Aladdin because it's really, really good. I've listed all my social medias down below. Check them out. And I post new videos on Thursdays. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.